Hello, good morning. It's day 9. Today's date is June 20th, and I was just taking a moment before hitting start on the button, hitting start on the machine to think, just reflecting on like making these actually. There's like I'm thinking back of like the process between the last one that I did yesterday and this one that I'm recording right now. And every time that, um, not every time, I guess, but like sometimes in between thinking of one to the other, I'm trying to think ahead of like, what do I want to say or do in this? And then when I think that, I remind myself that these are actually for myself, first and foremost. Um, but like I get into that um, thought sometimes of like, I'm putting this out online, I'm going to be sharing this out, and other people, like, is anybody even going to watch this? And again, it's like the answer is doesn't matter. This is for me. And it's like, is anybody going to get anything out of this? And again, the answer is it doesn't matter. It's for me. And it's like, what do I want to share that might be beneficial for others? And I think that starting from that place often kind of is something that's really easy to freeze on because it's actually like this thing in like marketing that it's a message that keeps coming up where you have to like speak to your target audience and speak to like your niche and become an expert in something and carve out kind of like your kind of little spice of the pie, slice of the pie. And it makes sense because like thinking about talking, like sharing one message that will be for everyone um, is it's hard, right? Like think about trying to talk to all of the different people. Like how am I ever going to have a message that um, that resonates with everyone? And maybe it's not a message. Maybe it's more of a vibe, right? Like um, I went from a very kind of like scientific background to kind of like my views now. I guess maybe like the progression really was like kind of from a really open when I was young, like really young, like let's say less than 10, 15, like thinking about kind of all like the supernatural and paranormal in the world, right? Like I love that idea of like um, monsters, ghosts, apparitions, paranormal stuff. And then also on the other side of like the other things that are like magical, like things in comic books with like superheroes and stuff like that. And all of that is kind of, mm, I went from like wanting to believe that was true to a point kind of, as I started to go through school to get that idea more fixed in what was then kind of like presented as reality, which is a helpful reality because it's kind of like helped to create the world that we live in today. Like the advances of modern science, that's how we have like buildings, like huge skyscrapers. I'm sitting in downtown Toronto right now, and just surrounded. Every time I look at a building, I like to pause and just wonder, wonder in it, in the presence of a building, because like we're in these things and we're around them all of the time. Maybe not if you're not from the city, but when you're in the city, there's like apartment buildings and condos and office towers, and it's that idea that like magic is all around us. Like magic is all around us, because how is it possible that I'm sitting on the 24th floor, like in the sky, right? Like it's it's high. I don't know how many meters up I am, but it's kind of amazing that we have these buildings that stand for any length of time. Like if you makes me think of like building blocks and like kind of like kids' toys where you try and build the tallest tower that you can. and see how long it can stand. And like, I don't know about you, but the ones I build always fall. And maybe that's a, of course, it's not like material that's meant to stick around, and there's very, very little designing that kind of went into that. Which makes me think of this other time that we built a tower, or that I was part of building a tower, which was of like, I think popsicle sticks or something, and just like trying to build this like as tall as you can with like popsicle sticks and something to fasten them. I can't remember what. But that tower came out. We ended up, like our team ended up building the tallest tower, but it was rickety. It was just like, let's serve a purpose, because the purpose was just to build a really tall tower, not something that would stand the test of time. So it's easy to forget the magic that we all live in. Like I'm looking outside at people driving in their cars, and it's like we got these like metal boxes with wheels that can take us from one place to another in some sort of like faster time, like getting from point A to point B. Right? Like before the invention of cars, there's other vehicles like the horse-drawn carriages is probably like the one before. So with like horses and animals kind of leading the way. And then before that, you're just like walking, right? And thinking about all those advances, getting like being able to get from one point to another in less amount of time. Where does that really take us? Sometimes we still feel like we're not getting to the places that we want to go. And that's much the same for like personal development. Because, maybe you start out in a place of like, I'm just here. Like, this is what I've been given. People tell me things and I'm trying to like work things out. And sometimes people tell me things that I really like, so I resonate with them. And then other times people tell me things that it's like, oh, like I can try and do that, but it doesn't seem like the thing that's really right for me. It's not something sustainable, right? Not something that I could do on a regular basis. Which kind of makes me think of this, like being consistent in this way of like showing up on this camera. I'm showing up on the camera. Showing up on, just showing up here to record something consistently every day. It's curious to think that like I guess right now I'm thinking of reconciling in real time the projector kind of aura and need for rest and need for the invitation to come and I don't know, like share knowledge. And then also like the consistency to show up is I guess it's not necessarily that it's not innate and it's not in me. But like, if I were to think of just showing up as, like I have to be here to do something, to produce something, then that's kind of a drag. And it's probably like that for many things, right? Like, especially once you factor in, like if you're doing something for other people rather than for yourself. Because what that could look like is sitting here recording and thinking about like, what can I say to make sure that people stick around and watch this video all the way to the end, or whatever metric that pumps up the algorithm, right? Whatever thing that helps to get this video in front of other people. And it's a funny way to think, because I can't know right now. There are probably things that are like tried and true that work for things, like to kind of pull people in and like be like, hey, like look at me. I have this. What are some of the different frameworks, like IDA or pass. Problem, agitate, solution. I could give you a problem, make it worse, and then give you a solution for it. Although, like, if you kind of like work backwards from that, then somebody probably already knows they have the problem to be looking for this video or to be looking for something to solve the problem. If you don't know that you have a problem, that's kind of the first problem to solve. So I was talking about like kind of moving from that space of like very like looking for like the magic in the everyday as something external that I haven't seen yet. And so looking, like watching documentaries and like those TV shows about like ghosts and stuff like that. Not so much like the paranormal ghost hunter ones. That kind of came a little bit after my time. But like I used to remember, I mean, I remember right now that I used to really enjoy watching like those, I don't know if they're documentaries or like those series where they like just go and talk about hauntings and talk to people that have experienced hauntings and stuff like that. And I was like looking for them, like observing for it, like, oh my God, like, am I going to like experience this myself firsthand? I'm like, I don't know if I really want that. And at the same time, it would be really cool to have like confirmation of that. So then for like many years, I didn't see anything. And kind of the trajectory of like school and all of that took me more into like a scientific route where it's like, oh, I need evidence. It's like that very evidence-centric view of like feeling and understanding something. And I went like kind of deep into that. I was an atheist. I didn't believe that, or I shouldn't say that. I guess I always felt that there was something bigger. I come from like a Chinese background with parents that had grown up in Vietnam, and our religion is more of a folk religion, which is really interesting. I learned about this on TikTok. I'm learning about myself on TikTok, which is pretty cool. Talking about like the different religions and kind of beliefs around Asia. And the one that most closely described what I grew up with was like a folk religion, which is like ancestor worship with gods of specific things. We never really got deep like into it. And that was interesting because like that magic that I was looking for kind of like lived within that with this kind of like folk approach of ancestor worship, which means like when your relatives pass on, when they die, then they go live in another realm. They're somewhere, and there's still like communication with them through fire, let's say, for example, or incense to call them in, and then preparing food for the ancestors to enjoy, and then to burn like the paper money, right? They call it joss paper, which I learned much later on, once the internet became more ubiquitous. So that kind of underlined everything, but then I was also understanding that I lived in a world where I guess my school educational world was very like science and math based. It was science and math based. So everything became like, okay, looking to calculate and looking to observe it before it's real. And I was in that space for a long time. I didn't really explore much out of it. And I'm not exactly sure how to connect the dots to how I got into more spiritual kind of explorations. I guess like there was always a layer of it, but I didn't fully identify with it until much later, maybe like 2019 after hypnosis, because that was just like an opening of the frame. It was unlocking the dream gate. And I'm trying to think, it was like very much more like a science-based and evidence-based approach. I was reading a lot of like books about personal development. I remember reading The 4-Hour Body and using that, the diet in that book actually to get ready for, or get in shape. get in the shape that I wanted to be in for when I got married for my wedding. And then after that, it was kind of like continuing to explore the physical kind of like um, physical fitness realm, like exercise. Like I was doing a lot of martial arts at the time and learning through that way. And then there was a turn. I guess I had started working. I graduated. I started working, and like maybe there was less time. I'm like, I think the story's coming together. I'm going to craft a story for you in real time. You can watch me connect the dots. I guess there was less time because I got married, started working, and then also had a newborn child within 1 year of graduating school, I think, like pretty close to that. And so then like all the time for physical stuff didn't go away, but it was a lot harder to like stay on top of like exercise and workout and going out to the gym or going out to like Muay Thai class or like Aikido class. So because of that, I guess I started reading more and listening to podcasts. Like they were becoming a thing, slowly becoming a thing. I was probably listening to like music a lot before getting into podcasts. But I guess it's the commute. I used to have to commute. I actually, like my work, I still live about an hour away from work. And it's kind of always been like that. So it's almost like 2 hours out of my day needing to have something to do. And like listening to music is great. And then maybe at a certain point, I caught up to like everything that I wanted to listen to, and I was looking for something new. And then Audible was around, so there were audiobooks to listen to. I should go back through my Audible library and see if I have a history of some of the early things that I was listening to, because I really can't remember right now. And then like even getting into podcasts, it's like, what's the first podcast that I really started listening to? I'll have to go back and check. But like listening to that kind of opened up like alternate perspectives, and moving through like a whole bunch of like just being exposed to that was really interesting, like in different ways. And then, with travel and everything, I somehow just, this is kind of where the disconnect is, because I don't know that I intentionally went to seek out like this particular path. I was just doing what I thought I needed to do, like go through and learn all the things that I needed to learn and get the position that I thought I needed to get. So I ended up becoming an owner in the company that I worked in. And then I said this before, but I was at a corporate conference and I was just like, hey, like this hypnosis thing is really cool. It's something that like I had always wanted to learn, and I just kind of jumped in. And that's kind of like, I don't have a logical connect for that. It just kind of happened. And things kind of happen randomly, right? I guess, well, and this is the idea that like chance is cause not recognized. So I don't recognize like that lineup. But really, like I could point back and say that anything before led to what happened now, because like it's practically true that what happened before today made it possible for today to happen. And I think accepting that is really powerful. Again, that brings in that choice back into your sphere. Yeah. So like between the one that I recorded yesterday and the one that I'm recording today, I had all these thoughts. I actually wrote a whole bunch of notes. I have my phone here with me to like, oh, today maybe I'll talk about this or maybe I'll talk about that. But I remember that because this is for myself, it doesn't really matter what I talk about. Because it might be interesting. I guess it's twofold. Like maybe one day I will like look back and watch this. I don't know how many of these I'll actually go through, but what I am getting out of them is the opportunity to talk about my story and my program and my system and my method. Talking about Haizhen, making it real, right? Okay, that's all for today. Thanks for tuning in. Like and subscribe for more. I always love that where people just jump in randomly. It's like before I get into all the detail, like and subscribe for more. Feels so forced, not my vibe. But there's nothing wrong with it. I'm not knocking it. Okay, peace. How did I make it start recording?